right, it's July 1st. A moment of silence for the
Yes.
summer. And I'll call the meeting to order. Do we have any public input?
No, we do not.
Okay. Seeing none and seeing no appointment here, I'm going to go right to the minutes.
Oh, I'm sorry. You should have a new agenda with Andy
Really?
on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have that. This,
Oh, okay. I thought you mean he's not here. Excuse me.
They're
I'm
not
sorry.
here.
I apologize.
so,
Do we want us?
Mr. Chairman, would you like to salute the flag?
all right. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, now we're gonna go to the minutes, I think. First set of minutes I have are 9 o'clock on June 14th.
I have nothing to add.
Do you have those?
Yep. On June 14th.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. No, I don't.
24th, actually.
No, we have the 14th as well.
Thank
I
you.
thought we did those
We
already.
approved those at last meeting.
Yeah.
Did we, what are they doing in my file?
You have to be responsible
The
for your
next-
own yellow folder. I am
The next-
sorry.
Set of minutes is Monday, June 24th at 9 a.m.
I have one small correction on page 4.
Okay.
The paragraph, Selectmen's update,
Mhm.
the second line reads that about trash removal being scheduled, but there's a D missing at the
Oh,
end
yep.
of scheduled, so.
Thank you. All right.
Any other corrections?
I move approval is corrected.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
That's all the minutes, right?
I've got a non-public from the 24th.
I think they're in the Manila folder.
Got it.
I saw yours in.
All right, these are non-publics from June 24th at 11:53. Any corrections?
Look good to me. I move approval is presented.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. I'm gonna make a motion vis-à-vis the library project. And this is to allow the Board of Selectmen to sign the trustees of the trust fund's reimbursement requests with the weekly check sign.
I'll second that.
I agree.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Is Andy coming in?
He's supposed to be. I can go get him if you'd like.
All right. Now, is Alva here?
No, I did not invite them. Right back.
All right, fine.
You're not going to be able to join us this afternoon, huh?
No, our deadline day is today.
Yeah,
Really?
So-
because of the holiday, yeah.
Yeah, the paper's gonna come out on the 3rd,
Yep.
so I have to get all my work done.
So you're,
Maybe 3, or, I try to get it in by 3, but.
yeah.
So I started working this morning. That's why I'm here now, because I got immersed.
Well, to continue that, I guess, as a public notice, today on July 1st, 2019 at 1 p.m., the Board of Selectmen will present the Boston Post cane.
You crow?
At Applegate Gardens, 141 Mountain Road Center, Tuftonboro, New Hampshire. This is a reproduction. The original is locked in a case.
And I understand she's 102.
I'm sorry?
I understand she's 102.
102, that's what I'm hearing. Not yet. Or today.
Tomorrow. Tomorrow.
Yeah.
So, and that's for the oldest citizen in town.
Good morning.
Got a weapon just in case you get out of hand.
He can run faster scared than you can.
Morning, Chief.
but- Okay, police facility soft construction cost proposal, Chief Shigori. Ready for that?
Sure.
Okay, because I think we had a brief discussion about funding a more complete plan before we go forward with it. And also, we'll continue, I guess, when we get into the selectmen's discussions, but Bill and I had talked about maybe waiting 1 year and putting together a warrant article for this year so that the following year we get funded on once as opposed to bonding. But we need to know the price.
Right. And I guess the question is, the money that they were talking for soft costs to develop that is that beyond where we were at with, we can't do that this year anyways, can we?
We can't do it out of last year's warrant article money,
That's what I was getting at.
right?
So it has to go,
It has to either come out of the capital reserve fund, or it has to, and I didn't go back and look and see.
I thought it was changed that you couldn't go, the selectmen weren't agents to expend from the capital reserve fund. Thought they changed it.
Well, what bother having one if you're not gonna have an agent to expend?
Well, it has to go through a vote at town meeting, I
Yeah.
think.
I
So,
thought that was
Before I
affirmed.
change that, yeah.
I thought that was affirmed.
Well,
Okay,
and-
we'll look into all
yeah.
that.
yeah, that was
we-
my, two concerns I had was, A, we have a bidding or a purchasing policy now, so I didn't know how that fit in with this.
We went through a competitive bidding process to
We'll
select,
have to hire the
to select
architect.
the architect.
So
Okay.
That's
So-
done.
That's done, and
Well,
that was
I-
before the effective date
No,
too.
no, but I guess my thought is, we selected somebody to do the study
Yeah.
and do kind of a conceptual on it. At that point, if we were to say, okay, now, we're gonna take the conceptual and we're gonna go out to bid with architects, it's, in a way, it's sort of starting over.
Well, that's what I was asking, where we
Yeah.
are
Yeah,
on
I
that.
mean,
I don't know, I thought my understanding of what we did when we interviewed architects was that we were gonna get to the complete design.
That was my
That
understanding.
that was what I thought
So
too, but,
I think we've got that handled.
okay. And the second part of that is, are you agents to expend to do it this year anyways? In other words, I guess if we go to next year, it becomes moot whether or not that is true either, right? We go to next year with the money to hire the architects to do the final.
Yeah, I'd really like to have more to go to town meeting with than just a
yeah,
sentence or two.
so,
Oh, absolutely.
Well, it also makes sense to follow the library model, where the day after town meeting, they were ready to start the project, so that they're not like the library in Wolfboro that are digging and building in cold weather.
Well, that's quite a library in Wolfboro.
Yes,
yes, it is.
I'm sure they have lots of help.
the costs you were talking about are on page 4 under potential additional services, right?
Professional fees, yeah.
Under retainer.
Right, right.
Is that what you were talking about?
Well, it came up to a total of $60,000.
Yes.
Yes.
Which is beyond our warrant article amount.
Yes.
Right.
Right.
I have some opinions, Mr. Chairman. Energy modeling, what are we gonna get for $6,500? Fire protection engineering fees, the zoning code tells us what is needed and what's not needed. And construction administration, that's so that they can talk to an expert for $25,000. How many hours of talking are they gonna do?
Well, that's, I think in this proposal, that particular line item is for them to be the clerk, if you will, or the on-site building.
Right, that'd be construction management, I would assume, or not construction management, but overseeing the construction costs when they're on site.
the construction manager or the person who oversees is separate from the architect.
Right. But this is really,
They're our employee.
There are two points of contact. One is that person who is our employee. The other is the architect to come in and say, it's built to exactly what we specified. If you don't have that check and balance, then you're not anything.
Right. And those people are our representatives.
Right.
I can't answer for what they talk about energy modeling or,
Well,
Go ahead.
you're only talking about $23,000. Schematic design, design development. The construction documents and bidding negotiation doesn't happen until we're ready to go, or damn near ready to go. So that $60,000 number, we don't have to pay that whole thing. All we need to have is the schematic design and the design development, which is hopefully going to include a rough estimate of costs. The construction documents is a bidding process. That's where they put that out on the street. And then the negotiation is $3,500. But I think, I mean, let's figure out whether we have the ability to spend the money. But if we're only talking about $23,000, I think we can probably scare that out of capital reserve.
to continue the plans going forward, so, because there was talk in the original contract of having stuff to show
Right,
even up to a
Right.
model
right. So that
and meetings
includes
for the public.
the design development and the schematic design, so that's the stake. And we're gonna add the sizzle, so.
And then another piece, as we go through this whole process that we talked about with the architects when they were in, was the Emergency Operations Center and potential for grant money for that, which, as we go forward with design development and all of that, I think we want to start to understand that process, put together an approach to go for the grant.
Facility, our emergency facility.
Go for the grant funding that may be significant dollars, may not be significant dollars, but it's certainly might be opportunity there that we want to investigate and
Right, at least
and
answer the
understand.
questions. I mean,
Yep.
if the requirement is a much bigger facility, then we need to balance the cost against the grant.
exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, and energy, I think that's absolutely vital. It's, you know, the insulation factors, cogeneration, whether or not we're gonna have solar, all of those things, or a heat pump, you know, all those modern design developments. I mean, we'd like to have it as 21st century as we can, even though we were all kind of 19th century.
We're in the past and headed backwards, right? All right, so we need to,
Maybe talk to the architect to see about, if you're talking about splitting it, not doing the bid package, but,
Right, I think they would be fine with it, I would hope so.
yeah.
I mean, they broke it up line by line, they didn't just say phase one, 60,000, phase two,
right,
so. And I think it might take a little bit of the burden off of them with regard to how our project's progressing, so we get a piece of it done now, a piece of it done in a little while. I don't know. Hope so. And they've got reimbursable expenses. So, when you're, are you gonna, who's talking to, are you gonna talk to them?
I can.
And ask them, we wanna do phase one, 1.2 and 1.3. And how much of reimbursables do we need to project? You know, large scale photocopies at $4 and et cetera, et cetera. We wanna have something that we can bring forward to the town that's a physical representation of what we're gonna do.
without necessarily having a full bid package and
Right.
contracts going
Right.
out.
And they don't need to spec out electrical systems and all that other crazy stuff.
Sounds good to me. Yeah.
Oh, we got
May I ask a question?
the fourth estate here.
I'm in a state now. I'm lost in this because you have the papers. You've studied those. I don't have that. So you're talking about okaying $23,000 for design development and schematics. Is that right?
Right, those are the descriptions of the two lines that we're thinking about approving, which would,
Okay, so maybe I can get a copy of
Sure,
that. But,
absolutely.
so that's what you're approving right now, because you need to do that in order to bring something to the public to
Right.
get approval for the project.
right.
Right, okay. So this March though, what would be on the warrant? Are you thinking you'll have the whole,
No, I mean, what I think, and I'm speaking as one selectman, but what I would think we would do is bring those two items, as well as maybe the architect, to town meeting along with a warrant article for a certain amount of money to continue raising funds for the police station.
okay,
And then 2021, we'll be bringing forward a full-fledged building. That's the current thought.
right, things can always
It's subject to change.
Now you said 1.2, 1.3 million, phase one, is that what you said?
I don't remember saying anything in
Oh, okay.
millions.
Maybe those were lines,
Oh,
1.2 and 1.3.
they're phase, they're item descriptions.
Right.
So they're not million.
They
This is,
broke down the lines.
No, I thought you were saying this is what,
No, they
okay.
broke down the lines.
See, I need to see it.
1.2 is just a
One of the lines.
index, right?
Okay,
1.3 is the next line.
yeah,
And
okay.
1.4 is the next one.
Let's cross that out and make sure that's
It
on.
just keeps getting more and more expensive.
So what you're doing is taking steps and,
Okay, we've done site selection. I don't know if we've actually voted on it.
oh, did
You
you?
did.
Yes.
Oh,
Did we vote?
across from the library.
All right, the Dearborn lot.
Yeah, yeah.
So we're doing this in steps. We've done site selection. First of all, we selected an architect.
Yes.
And put that out on the street and interviewed a number of architectural firms.
Right.
Selected one. They did a site plan review on all of the locations that were possible. We elected or selected the Dearborn property, so that's the next step. This is the next step, which is to create a design that we can bring to the town meeting that we can get funded.
And so what you're talking about though is in order to get the process moving, you might approve a couple of those lines.
Right.
The 20.
I mean, the whole idea is that we were all talking about a new police station, but we don't have a picture of it. We need some sizzle, we need something to look at. So this is gonna create something to look at and a general notion of the budget. Without being too-
And so, did you approve a motion for 23,000 for design development? and
We have
schematic?
not, because we need to
Get back to this.
look at our
Marching orders.
reserve and see if we have the agency to spend.
Okay.
So
Okay.
capital reserve.
The original contract did talk about a 3D modeling and stuff.
Yeah, we'll knock them together. I mean, if we can get it all done for 23 grand, I'm happy with that.
While you're talking to them.
They're gonna do it on CAD, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So that CAD should be available to the public.
On page 3, under 2.0 anticipated schedule, and when you're talking with these people, can you firm up the dates rather than just the middle and the end of October and November? The reason for that is CIP budget committee need to meet, and we need to meet, and all of a sudden we're into February.
And I think we have to realize now that we're making changes. They're anticipating that we're we're gonna take this to town meeting in March.
Right.
That's why these schedules are the way they are.
Right.
If we're gonna change that and not take it to the town meeting in March, we need to work on it.
The architects are thinking, or
Yeah, I'm
CIP is
sorry.
thinking? Okay.
Right, they had put together a schedule of when to complete phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3. And it was premised on the notion of March 2020 decision to build.
Mhm.
So this would be, to be clear, 2020 would be the rest, the other steps on there, putting out to bid so that we could have firm numbers for 2021.
Right.
So they're not doing that whole scheme of things there. I'm just-
Right, I don't know that we'll get to put it out to bid until we get it, voted on to build, so. But preparation of the bid documents and all that sort of thing, but
Right.
I don't know, we'll have to talk to them. They may want to put it out subject to town approval. I mean, that, yeah. And
Do you have an estimated total?
That would have been the
An
earlier,
estimated construction cost, yeah, I don't
earlier
have,
report.
I don't have that in front of me.
yeah. That's a moving target anyway. Because we haven't settled on a final design, so that number's gonna move a bit. Also ask them about the energy modeling, that's $6,500.
And the fire protection.
This last one.
I think that's their.
Unless NFPA says different, our zoning ordinance says it's a business.
Well, we
Yeah.
don't-
When we discussed that when they were here, and for the size of building, NFPA does not require sprinklers.
Under 9,000.
Right.
Do you want your buildings sprinkled?
It's gonna add cost.
Memorial Police Station.
I mean, it's probably not a bad idea, but it's also a significant cost.
The thing I'm gonna ask,
Are there alternatives to what we're doing in the fire business?
but not that end of it. But one question I would ask is that if the buildings should be built so it can be expanded, if it goes over 10,000, then we have to be able to, maybe not you and me, but we need to kind of plan ahead. That's been my experience.
But that's a discussion we
Right,
can
right.
right?
Jack and Adam are the guys who are up on the minutia.
Yeah. I mean, I don't care if Andy's or the chief's desk gets burned up, but I don't want the files to get burned up, so maybe there's a balance in there.
All three of these.
All right, and I think that's plenty, don't you?
So we have a schematic, but not started bidding for next year.
Right. So we want a design schematic, and
Something to,
maybe an energy and fire.
yeah, see what that's.
Yeah.
And if there's any confusion on their part or any recommendations,
Certainly have
we can
invite
find
them
them
for a
in.
meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, now that we're slowing the process down a little bit, and I think Selectman Markson had a good point. Having two projects running simultaneously or even back to back is a little bit much.
The reality is, by town meeting next year, the library project is not going to be totally complete. It may be substantially complete, but, and we're a little town.
Yeah.
Getting two big things going at the same time is
And they may-
stretching us
They
too
may
thin.
need to raise a little more money, which takes time.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, for whatever reason, I don't know.
Especially with a good stock market.
All
We'll
right.
get that today
Any
to them.
crime in the street or
We've had a busy week.
protests,
No
bedlam?
protests, but we've had a couple arrests yesterday. Had one last week with drug task force. We had another case where somebody was injured by a falling tree, which called OSHA up and was seriously injured. It's been busy stuff.
It's summertime, right?
Summer, we've had a lot of stray animal calls, and a few dog bites, that sort of stuff going on.
My dogs don't bite. They just bark. Yeah, I was, just on your trade, talking to my brother or son-in-law last night, and that accident that happened with the 7 motorcyclists that got killed has brought to light the complete lack of coordination between police and judicial as far as notifications. I mean, he was on, there was a warrant, I think, out of Connecticut on this guy. Never made it north of Massachusetts.
Yeah.
The Massachusetts DWI never made it into New Hampshire's operation. I think there's, I don't know, there's thousands of,
We've run into that. We just had somebody earlier this summer who was driving in New Hampshire. His privilege was suspended in New Hampshire, but Massachusetts still had a valid license for him.
yeah.
So we could charge him here, but if he'd been in Maine, they couldn't have charged him because we can only, when we suspend somebody's license, privilege to drive, because they have an out-of-state license, we notify their home state. If the home state, Massachusetts, does nothing with it, which apparently they did with this guy up in Randolph, because Connecticut notified his home state.
Right.
Same thing, only here we had an option because he was driving in New Hampshire, and his privilege for New Hampshire was suspended. But it's not anything new. We had 1989. Lacey Packer, 10 years old, sitting on a motorcycle, got run over in Nashua by somebody who had a mass license, suspended for multiple DWIs in New Hampshire. He actually got his mass license though with a New Hampshire address.
The concern, I think, from New Hampshire's standpoint is if the notification is coming north from Massachusetts and getting lost so that you don't know about it,
Yeah.
that's a problem. And that problem needs to get fixed if it's there.
I'm not sure. I haven't run. It's hard to know because you don't know who said what to who
Right.
back
Right.
channel, but how the notifications go. I mean, I have seen that with, but if they have again, they notify their home states and they're supposed to, the home state is supposed to suspend them. I like to believe that we're pretty good. Like I said, going back to '89, Massachusetts was not doing it right then.
Yeah.
And they weren't doing it right with this guy that we just dealt with earlier this summer. So,
It just brings to mind, I mean, as far, we don't do it right a lot of the time. I mean, when you charge a guy with DWI and he hasn't gone to court yet, he's just driving in Tilton, gets another DWI, now they're two first DWIs.
two first DWIs. That was part of the concern with the bail reform that was going on because they were dropping the ability to hold people on bail
Right.
for DWIs. And the reform that just got signed by the governor includes DUI as a reason to ratchet that up to, if need be, say that they're a danger to the public if they keep getting first. Because I've seen it throughout my career, people who either in a short period, I've seen someone with a very short period of time get 3, and they were extremely intoxicated each time. That was quite a while ago. Now you see them spaced out a little more because the tools to hold people are not as easy as they used to be.
Yeah, it would be nice if the legislature would address that third one to be a DWI 3, but no, they're gonna get the same punishment for 3 of them.
Not until they have the prior conviction can you go for a subsequent. So but that's where you need to have if somebody's getting that many, they need to be able to put a stop to them somehow before they kill
The
somebody.
CDL process today is much tighter than it was 25 years ago.
Absolutely.
Okay, so any state you get a CDL in, you have to meet as a uniform set of knowledge and skill demonstration. You have to pass, and you have to have a medical certificate, and depending upon your situation, either every 12 months or every 24 months, and that goes into the system. Now, one of the things with this guy out of Westfield, Mass, is that he had a pattern of substance abuse before he ever got his CDL. That that somehow
Should've
dropped through the
Well,
crack.
Actually,
Well-
some of them were after you got a CDL, but they weren't motor vehicle related, so they didn't tie.
Right.
Neither, I mean, the
So what
balance-
happens is, however good a system is, there's always little holes here and there. And people find the holes, and they know how to work their way
That's why I
around
got
it.
rid of my CDL, is because they dropped the rate. I mean, I couldn't have a shot of cough medicine without DUI. It's, I think it was .01 or .02 or something. Regardless of whether you're driving a semi or not, if I'm driving a car and I'm over that limit, I can lose my license. So
Yeah,
not
it's-
that I practice driving while intoxicated.
Well,
Driving
have a
while
great week.
intoxicated.
Yeah,
So
especially
summer's here and it's been busier with some of that stuff, but we're,
All right, and I see you're gonna post an officer at the concerts, which we appreciate, unless they're called out.
yes, I'll take the duty officer on duty, we'll do that.
And I'd rather, and these two guys can speak for themselves, I'd rather pay our officers a duty rate than I would pay an out-of-town officer a duty rate.
And if someone's available to do that,
If we have to.
if that doesn't work out, we can explore that and see if somebody's available to do that. Only thing is, we've got three
Yeah.
people. and-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so we're talking, what, 4 concerts that
Well,
we
you have
have?
to say, that's not my problem, get it done.
Yeah, I think, how many concerts do we have this summer?
It's 4 or 5.
4 or 5, okay.
I think it's
So-
4.
So hopefully,
First one's the 11th.
yeah, hopefully we can get stuff scheduled.
I
so
just
that-
know, the sergeant's covering the day shift. I have to go to a meeting about our software package during the day, so that leaves the duty officer at night.
Okay.
Unless the sergeant wants to come back in that night. and
When we go to
work
a
again.
concert, you know?
But,
It's a work in progress. Like
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right, great, thanks
May I
for
say
coming in.
something police related?
I'm sorry, sure, go
Police
ahead.
related? Yeah. May I say something police related?
You can.
Well, Andy came to Wolfboro and he spoke at a selectmen's meeting in support of the traffic ban and.
parking ban.
Parking ban, right.
For the
We
parade.
can't ban during-
Yeah.
Great.
Anyway,
which is a good move in my opinion.
Yes.
Having-
yeah, so
having
people should know
boats in that parade
who
for lots
listen
of
to the
years, yeah.
meeting that there will be no parking from Mill Street to Glendon Street from 7:30 to 1. So they have signs to put up and they're talking about a shuttle service.
So this is for the
Molly
4th of
Patrol.
July.
Mhm.
Excuse me?
For the 4th of July.
July.
For the
parade.
4th of July, for the parade.
I
So-
just assumed they didn't park there all year, but
So,
natives only.
people have probably been doing the same spots for generations. So
They
it
can
really
walk.
will open up that space, and I know fire and safety, people driving the big trucks are getting very nervous going down Main Street because people are going between the cars.
And I'm gonna try to clear all of the people out of Tuftonboro, if I can, for the 4th of July.
You want them all to go over
And-
there?
And tell them that Donald Trump's gonna be in the parade. So make sure you get there.
You think that would work, right? Or you want to identify people?
Yeah,
You're right.
I-
Tag them.
Chief Rondo had asked me, because I saw it in the paper and I said, call them up and I said, this is great, I'm glad to see that's gonna happen. Well, we just haven't set it in stone yet. I'm like, oh, and he asked me to come over. Because I've had several hats I've worn. I've worn it as driving a truck with a trailer through that parade. And you get down near the bottom, and I've also, it gets tight.
and the kids are darting out.
Kids are
between
out
the
there.
cars. And it's similar to the ongoing issue we have in Wolfboro with the crosswalks and no sight lines on
No
the
sight
side.
lines on this.
I was disappointed but not surprised to see that they didn't, when they redid the downtown area, they parking them right up hard on those crosswalks again. And, somebody told me they would lose a half a dozen parking places in town if they put the proper sight lines, but it's, and parking's at a premium, but,
No.
so are lives.
There also is an issue, which I think is a related safety issue, that the state has written to the town of Wolfboro to say that it shouldn't have the crosswalk between the two shopping centers on the newly paved Center Street, or the crosswalk down by the bridge,
Which bridge?
Bridge Falls Path,
Main
sorry.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh, the
Oh,
one
that's
in-
because Center Street.
Center
They
Street.
use the same rational or irrational thinking that precludes us from having a crosswalk at 19 Mile Bay when there was a store there, that everybody from the beach walked up there. Precludes us from having a crosswalk at the Tuftonboro Store and Post Office,
Yeah, that's
because
too bad.
they feel that they have total say on all these state roads, that there won't be
Yes,
crosswalks.
there's going to be a hearing at the Selectmen's meeting on July 18th. And Dave Ford wrote a letter, this was a few weeks ago, protesting that there were no public meetings, they didn't get any public input on this, and that Wolf Road doesn't even have a traffic light, and that the crosswalk slows things down. And I would think businesses would want to have that crosswalk too.
Yeah.
Otherwise, people have to go all the way up to the top to cross. So there will be a hearing on it, but, and Dave Bowers, as a historian, went through Granite State News files, and he said about 600 people showed up years ago when they were talking about having Route 28 come
Mm.
into town.
Right.
So there are benefits. The town received money for that project, for the paving from the state, but
Well,
it's a state road in a
it's
small
not that we
town.
don't all participate in, you know, the combination of state and local funding for projects, so.
Yeah, well, it's just, so that's.
Are
an
they
issue.
gonna take down the old Leone Bigelow building and change that corner? Is that what Leone?
No, it's been sold.
I
The
thought
building
maybe-
was sold?
I thought maybe they were.
The
gonna
building
tear it
opposite
down.
Westie's has been sold. It was in the paper a month ago.
But is it just gonna be another business or something?
Yeah, V&A and hospice.
Yeah.
Huh.
Nothing's
All right,
coming
we've
down.
digressed away from our Tuftonboro selectmen's
We're
Okay.
suffering all the problems of the world.
Well, Andy's involved in lots of
Right,
things.
congratulations, and thank you.
Well, I
for your
well, I
service.
also was gonna say, being a parent, bringing my child down there, and then having a truck parked with people sitting in their chairs, that's what they're parking there
Right.
primarily to do. It's like, and they can't move anyways, so why would they be parking during the parade? So
Right.
Yeah.
it's just kind of a couple different ways I've been through it, and I'm like, this really is, I said something to Chief Chase a few years back, and that really should be banned, you know, along a parade route. I mean, it's probably one of the few places I've ever seen where they allow the
It's a
parking. lot,
national
so.
security thing.
If nothing else, try it for a year, see if it
Yes,
works.
yeah, it works. All right,
Thank you very much.
Have a quiet day.
Okay, we're gonna move on to the signature file. We had a meeting last week with Timothy Goodwin of Wolfboro Community Television. He's asked us, or we agreed to explore the notion of becoming part of that system for our local meetings. And he asked us to create a letter to be sent to Spectrum. Did you all read it?
I was seeing it.
Yeah, that's it.
I have no issue.
I'll move that we sign this letter.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
The next item for signature is an intent to cut for Macklemore 30-3-2 and 30-3-7.
I move approval.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And the next item is an insurance claim. Or demand, I guess, by the looks of it, for $1,499 for damage done to our fence down at 19 Mile Bay. We have pictures.
Oh,
I did have a question about that. This is I guess, a short form claim because it's less than $1,500, is that the idea? And,
Right.
and if it's over that, it's a more detailed claim process?
well, the form is still the same. I talked to the lady there
Mhm.
at William Cass's office. The form would still be the same. They would still receive it, but then they would forward it on, and it has to go. It's quite a process. She said it has to be a hearing, and she's made it sounded very cumbersome. She didn't really go into it, but it's a lot more of legwork and hoops to get the other, what is it, $100-something.
Yeah, the total repair cost was $1,675. So we're looking at $276.
So this is a streamlined process and just taking a small haircut.
Right, and if we get it though, that could be an issue because we're past the 60 days, as you probably saw me explain in the letter though. And I explained to the lady on the phone. And so where Lloyd made contact with the state at the time it happened, she'll be able to go back
And the 60
and
days
obtain some more
is a
information.
regulation that they've imposed. It's not statutory.
I don't think so.
I'm sure it isn't.
So we shall
Okay,
see.
so
I don't even know if we'll get it, but.
I will move approval.
Okay.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Karen.
No problem.
And, appointments done. Correspondence new.
Can you put these in the red folder, please?
Sure.
I'm gonna hold off on this one, Bill, till we do our reports. Selectmen reports. We did get notification from Plymouth Village Water and Sewer District that they're gonna standardize the fee for septic disposal for all communities within the state of New Hampshire at a rate of $70 for 1,000 gallons. We don't have any municipal sludge, so that's
No.
reflected in your bill, and you should all have your septic systems pumped. Should be a $70 charge for disposal in Plymouth. There are a couple of items in the legislative bulletin that need watching. One is planning and zoning, which is going to allow a planning board to shorten the 21-day period that an applicant must file an application prior to the meeting at which it will be considered, and give zoning board of adjustments 45 days rather than 30 to hold a public hearing. I don't think we have anything to. The city planning board members is I'm not sure that it
I reviewed that
I don't know.
change in the statute, and it looks to me like it's only changing the way it applies to cities.
Right.
So it's bringing the cities, the city planning board process closer to towns.
Right.
Okay, so it doesn't make any change in
So you can hold multiple positions and not be in
Right.
violation.
right.
And then code violation notices, which Jack, I'm sure, is up on. Except for that. And selectmen's updates. Oh, we've got three more residents concerned about not having cable here in Tufton Borough, and would like us not to renew the franchise agreement unless such time as they offer the access to their service. I'm not sure we can go to that extreme, but I think we can definitely negotiate. The planning board's got a scheduled workshop. I think I noticed this last week, but it's coming up June 11th.
July 11th.
July 11th, I'm sorry. A workshop on municipal wastewater systems with Tyler Phillips from Horizon Engineering. And Nellie Moffett is the name of the lady who's going to receive the cane. And then, I don't know that this has been voted on, we got notification from our friends in Portsmouth who are all, we've banded together to keep track of school funding in New Hampshire. And there's a proposal that's gone to the governor, and I think we have to wait to see how he votes. But it's gonna reduce the amount of aid Tuftonboro gets by $14,000, which is onerous. And we have the, I don't know what this was done on. What this is for. Analysis of the water at the Melbourne Beach, or the Melbourne Wharf, Melbourne Town Pier. And it's available for everybody to see. Now we'll go to Selectmen's update.
May I just ask you, are more than one of you going to the planning board meeting on the 11th?
I'm out of
I know
town.
you can't, but.
I have something else.
Yeah,
I'll watch the tape.
I don't think I'm going.
Okay.
If I go, it'll be
It would
just
just be
me.
one, so
Yep.
fine.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Selectmen's updates.
Okay.
I'll go first. And I'll note this letter from Selectman Markison vis-à-vis the change in the location of property owned Lower Mirror Lake. There was a meeting with the owner, one of the owners of the property there across Lang Pond Road. And they suggested that we take the two pieces that the town of Tuftonboro owns, which are beach access to Mirror Lake, combine them into one in a different location. Selectman Markison's taken a look at the location that they've suggested. I've taken a look at the location, and
I have not yet taken a look at the location.
Oh, okay.
Before I would act on it, I would want to.
right, I did go down
Yeah.
and look, and I think you're correct in your assumption that we're moving into the weedy area of that corner. I can see it's right across from that,
The turnout.
yeah, or whatever garden they
Yeah.
built down there.
Yeah, rain garden.
Rain garden. But there's no beach, and it's essentially just
It's marshy, right?
Yeah.
brush and a few big trees and a big rock. So I don't think it's enhancing our access to the lake. Or, I think the only beneficiary to it would be the owners of the property across the street, so. And I'm gonna restate my previous comment that until all 5 of the heirs to that property get together with one proposal, I don't think we need to do
Right.
much.
No, I'm in agreement. And again, she sort of restated in this note to us what she came in here and asked. But at the time we met with her, I think we were clear that anything that we might consider would have to have assent of all of the owners of the property. I don't see.
Or if
any-
they sell it, the new owner might be more
Yeah,
reasonable, I don't
Yeah.
know. I also went to the Libby Park and drove down the access road to Libby Park, which is the old Indian carry way, I guess. And I saw the brush that was piled there by the landowner in Wolfboro. And also, I believe he's got some cordwood stacked on town property. So I think at some point in time, we're gonna have to maybe survey that line.
Yes. Isn't that alleyway also used by snowmobiles seasonally?
But that's the access from Lang Pond over to over to the lake. I mean, I was angry enough to say we gotta build a stockade fence, but I'm sure probably we'll come to something a little less onerous than that. The library approached me about plants that are at the library currently, shrubs, whatever, that are in the way of construction, but they'd like to salvage or keep for landscaping the new library. And I authorized them to pick a spot on the Dearborn property
Absolutely.
to plant those plants and hold them until,
There's also some lilacs that we saved when the house was taken down. And anything that can be salvaged or reused, go forward.
right. We all, Lloyd and I went to the Lakes Region Planning Commission meeting in Tamworth last week. I don't know the day it was. Tuesday?
Monday.
It was Monday.
Yep.
And the weeks fly by. And Chief Lassard, our former Parks and Recreation Director, was given an award for public service.
So surprised.
She made it into the town my son, right?
Yes.
And the one that really intrigued me, and I think I want to take a look at it, is the award that they gave to the Tamworth visiting nurses. And
Yes.
they've got a program in Tamworth that provides medical services to every resident for free. And it's funded through grants and through private donations, but it's the Tamworth visiting nurses. And it's not operations and major medical procedures, but it's visiting houses and taking care of medical problems.
Takes the pressure off the fire department having to go on, I don't want to say non-emergency, but
But not only that, I mean, it's checking on the older people.
yes.
It's doing all kinds of stuff, you know, with no insurance involved. It's a
Right.
town operated. And it's been going on for over 20 years. So I think it'd be an interesting model to take a look at. I had never heard of it, so I thought you might.
It was an interest, plus Ben Kellum that was there on Bears.
Yeah, I missed
Yep.
the bear.
I'll make it available to you. He's written a couple of books.
He gives a very interesting presentation. I, of
Yeah.
course, didn't see it last week, but I've seen his bear presentation in the past.
You had a resident who had a bear on his porch recently.
I had a bear walk right by on the wall in the back of my house.
But the bear got into the porch, the door closed behind him, and he
Couldn't get
couldn't
out.
get back out. I mean, he got a little panicked and he ended up tearing a screen and going through it.
A few years ago, a couple at the Sly Farm came out into their kitchen and there was a bear enjoying himself. The place we went was the preserve in Chicago off of Route 113.
Right.
Last year, that restaurant burned and it was rebuilt, and it's a place for weddings and functions like
This could be
this.
the Brass Heart Inn.
Yep.
Mhm.
All right, that's it for me. Anything from you, Mr. Markinson?
I don't have any.
Mr. Wood?
How are we coming on our anniversary dates?
Mine isn't until August
No,
23rd.
our job performance reviews. We have two that are in the pipeline, right?
They are.
Yeah.
And then we have 2 or 3 other people that department heads need to do because,
Right.
have they been notified, Karen?
Yes.
Okay.
And we have a tax case that's, that we postponed.
Yeah, we'll be going into non-public.
Right.
Any other public comment?
I have a question for Bill. Tyler Phillips' presentation, is he gonna have a PowerPoint presentation to you?
I don't know.
And I'm gonna ask Lloyd, that gentleman that was here at the Conservation Commission, did he bring in his own equipment to put up a slide screen over there so that you could watch it?
It was my understanding that was his
That
equipment.
was his.
I got there a minute late, so
Okay, I was just curious, that's all. I'm just asking the question. if
that was
a
Mike
deal.
Carlton from Water Industries and all.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also the owner of the pit next to the
Yeah.
dump.
Gordon Hunt said last week they were going to start cutting trees behind the
And
library.
they have.
Have they? Okay.
Yep.
I had one other thing. We signed a letter thanking Jack for his service. Should we present that to him with a handshake sometime, or how do we handle those things?
I'm sorry, I already gave it to him.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Have a recreation.
Yeah.
We'll give him a cane. Yeah, if you want to, we'll have to do it next time.
Okay.
We're not gonna do it this time.
He is the glue that holds things together on a lot of issues.
Okay, I'm gonna move that we go out of public session and into non-public per RSA 91-A:3, Roman numeral 2, parentheses C, to maintain someone's public reputation.
I'll second that motion.
Wood, yes.
Marcus, and yes.
All the yes.
Okay, thank you.